In the comments of one of my previous videos, somebody asked if I could make a video expanding on a topic. The answer is yes, because here I am making that video. Hi, I'm James, and on DM with a Day Job, I talk about the things that I plan and plot for my tabletop role-playing games. In my video on player agency, I talked about a situation that I had where a player killed a king, and over the course of several sessions, they made a series of choices that ended up with them in jail, waiting hanging in the morning, and they felt like they were railroaded. While I was able to get them to acknowledge that this is the result of all the choices that you made leading up to this point, they still felt bad and out of control in this situation. They didn't know how to get themselves out of it. How do you, as a dungeon master, help them out of this situation without invalidating all the choices that they made up to that point? Does it matter? How do you avoid Deus Ex Machina? And should you even help them out of this? Are you playing a game that is a bunch of hijinks, Monty Python style, a bunch of memes? Are you playing a game where it is about blowing off steam? You're here to kill monsters, get loot, level up, and do it all over again. You're playing a game with a rotating cast, maybe like West Marches, where you have like 12 players and you don't know which four are going to show up from week to week. So like a 90s television show, you need everything to reset back to the 0 point so that you don't have to worry about the continuity when one player shows up and the other one doesn't. Then no, it doesn't matter. Just let them off the hook. Oh no, they put you in the cell that conveniently has a secret door out the back, or these bars are really rusty and you can just break them. The guards are conveniently asleep, or Gandalf just shows up and turns all the trolls to stone. If continuity is not the focus of your game, then don't worry about it. It's not a worse or better way to play. People had a lot of fun with Monster of the Week for decades. You can do that and have a lot of fun. It's still Dungeons and Dragons. It's not the way that I like to play. Does it make it better or worse? I like to play in a game where consequences matter. Plot these year-long campaign arcs where each choice that a player makes means that we can chart this fractal back and see this campaign is the way it is because of the choices that the players made. In order for that to happen, though, I need the consequences to matter, so I can't let them off the hook. At least not obviously. While it's not the job of the Dungeon Master to solve the players' problems, if the players have forgotten about something that would be obvious to their characters, you can step in and say, hey, if you remember you've got this spell, this magic item I gave you 3 sessions ago, these NPCs that you know. The players aren't their characters. They don't live, breathe, and eat in this world. They don't know these things, so it can be helpful to let them know what their characters know. However, if they're stuck in the mud just because they can't think of a solution that they like, you can provide them an out. But that out should come with additional consequences, additional problems for the characters to solve. The devil's bargain is one such solution. It could be a literal devil, or it could just be a character that does not have the player's best interest at heart. Let's use Baldur's Gate 3 as an example. I can do this without major spoilers, but for anybody that doesn't want any contamination at all, then there's a link in the doobly-doo to post-spoiler discussion. In Baldur's Gate 3, your character has an impending doom upon them. That is the inciting incident that gets them to go out on their adventure. This thing will kill them eventually. That is the end of the character. The game cleverly doesn't provide you with any clean, explicitly good answers to the problem. Everything seems like it's bad. It's probably going to result in your character dying. One of the ways that you can deal with it, through a convoluted plot because it is a D&D game that won't result in an immediate death, is to take a bargain with a devil. That's not usually advised. It doesn't end up well for anyone but the devil in most situations. But this does allow you to kick the can down the road. Instead of this immediate death that's facing you, you now just have this contract. But that's a contract. You could try to find a way to void it out. You could try to find another deal that will allow you to change the contract. You could try to get a hold of the contract to destroy it. You could try to trap the devil in some way where it's not willing to fulfill the deal, therefore contract null and void, and I'm free and clear. We've got a lot of options to deal with over here, whereas this one was just, it was going to kill us. Deals with devils, or at least somebody that doesn't mean the character well, are the foundation for entire stories, adventures, like Han getting out of the deal with Jabba the Hutt, Kratos and Ares and Athena, Ling and Greed. These decisions, these bad deals, are what make those characters' stories interesting. Going back to this not hypothetical situation that I propose, where a character is in jail waiting execution, you could have an NPC show up and offer them this bargain. So you are the famed Kingslayer. Such a man must have many talents. It is a shame that those skills are going to waste here in this cell when I could make use of them. Come, agree to serve me in my cause, and I shall arrange for your freedom. But you want to be careful about the motivation of the player in taking this bargain. If they see it as just a key to unlock the door that they can later throw away, then it has not served its purpose. It has not expanded the story and created a new problem for the character to go and solve. To solve that, you need to give the NPC some sort of leverage over the character that the player cares about. Otherwise, they may just ignore it. That's not railroading the player. Again, they're in this situation by choices of their own making. They now have to deal with the consequences of that. Every choice that the character makes should lead to more consequences that they are eventually going to have to find a way to deal with until we reach the end of the campaign and we all button this up because we're ready to move on to new characters. If you have a dungeon at the bottom of the castle, you didn't invent it just to hold this one player. There's somebody else there. Maybe there is a cultist, a leader of a Vecna cult or Orcus cult or whatever demon or devil that this character worships. You don't need to know that yet. You just invent a cultist in the next cell over, and they're going to be rescued by members of their cult. The player overhears, "Yes, master, our plan is nearly at fruition. We just need you to complete our ultimate goal." The player now knows that something's going on. The cultists rescue their leader from the cell. In their place, they leave a burned corpse. And then they need a distraction so that they can get out of here and no one will know what's going on. They will think that their cult leader just died in the escape attempt, so they release all the prisoners, including the player. Now the player needs to get out of here. You can't just tell the guards. The guards aren't going to trust them because you are, after all, a Kingslayer. And it looks like you're just part of the escape attempt. So you now have to escape with all these other dangerous prisoners around and get out of here so that you can go stop the cultists from doing whatever they're doing because you're the only one that knows that the cult leader is still alive. Let's imagine a slightly different situation. Same cause, players made a bunch of decisions and it's put them in a bad situation. Let's imagine that they were fighting goblins or bugbears or fire giants or drow or something, and now they're in a situation where they're about to have a total party kill. You knock one of them unconscious. What do you do to get them out of here? I don't really like the solution of taking one hostage. If you leave now and give us all your gold and magic items, then we'll give your friend back. I've always had trouble rectifying that in my mind with what I think an evil society would do. Sure, if they're neutral or good, I could understand them wanting to stop further loss of life and caring about, well, some of my people might die killing these adventurers. But if I'm a goblin, do I really care if some more of my goblins die killing these adventurers? No. Then I can loot the adventurers at my will, and my dead goblin friend, and I don't have to split the loot with them. This works out great for me. You know what I do care about? Who's working the mines? I don't want to work the mines. My fellow goblins don't want to work the mines. And while I don't care what they want, I do want these fellow goblins out with me pillaging the rest of the countryside. So how about we slap some chains on these adventurers and put them to work? What better way to show that this society is evil than to have them enslave other sapient beings? And now we've created a new adventure, escape the goblin mines, at a huge disadvantage. The goblins aren't going to let you keep your spell books and your weapons and your armor. Now you have to get out of there by being clever. You also don't have to be the one that solves the problem. Neither does the player that's currently in the cell. You are probably playing with more than one player. Put this player on hold and say, if you come up with a solution or anything that you want to explore, let me know, and we'll discuss what would be involved in trying to do that and whether it would work. In the meantime, let's see what the other players are doing. Button up whatever they're trying to do, or better yet, dovetail whatever they're trying to do into going and rescuing their friend. Maybe they're the ones that take the devil's bargain to get their friend out. If you need to, you can invent a whole new NPC. If you don't know how they would get through the castle, invent a whole new entrance in the castle. Sewers aren't really something with castles. They are, after all, fortifications designed to make sure that nobody can get to whoever's in the castle. Having a bunch of tunnels underneath the castle would be a generally bad idea. But this is Dungeons and Dragons, and sewers are classic dungeons. Put a sewer underneath the dungeon that the players can use to go rescue their friend that this NPC knows about and wants in. Maybe they want to go rescue their cult member, and you're going to introduce a new storyline there. Build the sewer with a bunch of monsters that you wouldn't normally get to introduce, like gelatinous cubes, slimes, were-rats, otyugs, and rust monsters. Have the players go through that and go rescue their friend. you're worried about this player being bored. What are they going to do while they're being rescued? Have them play the NPC or make a new character that they're going to join the party with to go rescue their friend. What if they become attached to this new character and they don't want to play their old character? Okay, I mean, that's not a problem. Just have the old character be retired. They are, after all, put in jail. They need to go into hiding, or they don't want to risk any more, so they wander off in the sunset, and the new character becomes the new player character. If they're invested in it, as long as this character was motivated to go along on the rescue attempt, you now have a perfect segue to introduce them as a new party member. There's no problem here. Sometimes you may have to stick to your guns. Maybe the thing that the player has done has been such an impactful change. They destroyed an artifact, they killed a god, they've kicked off a civil war, they fundamentally changed the nature of the planes, whatever it is, it has so much weight. This is the cost. And to invalidate that would make what the player did kind of meaningless. So no, the player character is going to have to pay that cost. Maybe what they've did involved so many changes over so many weeks that unraveling it would be going back months in game time and invalidate every decision they made and every decision that somebody else made as a result of it. I can't go back and undo that. If we're going to have a game where we have this emergent narrative where nobody knows what's going to happen, then I can't go back and undo all these consequences just because it is inconvenient in the moment. And most of the time, it is in the moment. They don't like what's happening right now, but if you went back and saved them from their problem, if you introduce Gandalf just turning the trolls to stone, it feels to many people like Deus Ex Machina. They'll breathe a sigh of relief, but they'll also know that I can just get out of any problem. My decisions don't really matter. And in a way, that's a worse injury to the game. In a way, we're moving the goalposts, but that's all we're ever doing. Nothing said that there would be a temple of the frost giants after the fire giants that you defeated, after the red dragon that you slew, after the mind flayers that you extinguished. I am making that all up, and I am just stacking dungeon upon dungeon until you get to the end of the campaign. So what is the difference if I just add on a new problem here to solve the fact that you don't have a solution available to this problem? I was always going to invent a new dungeon anyway, so might as well invent it to get you out of this hot water that you're in, as long as I am ratcheting up the tension. That's my job. I'm just going to keep increasing the amount of risk and reward in this thing until we reach the end of the campaign. And I don't feel like that's now. I feel like that's later. So let me invent something new that will allow you to get out of this frying pan into more fire, into a deeper frying pan, into more fire, until finally we decide that this is enough. Let's wrap it up and let's start with new characters. I think this is going to end up being shorter than my other videos, so you're actually going to get videos week to week, which normally I don't do. Don't get used to it. I still have a day job, so I'm going to try to stay on an every 2 weeks upload schedule. But until next time, Dungeon Masters, remember, you're a player too. Try to have some fun.